Epic fail.
You know what's not a failure? Live cast. So please subscribe. Please,
Yeah, man.
to your alerts. We're here. We're here to provide you some sort of enjoyment.
Listen to Ref. Do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Yes, sir. Yeah. Love to hear other opinions. These are just the four that we think got the shaft.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. All right, who are we gonna start with? Let's go Drax. Let's do it. Drax the Destroyer, man. No. No, coach, what picture do you have up right now? Do you have one up? Okay. Okay. So I'll just speak to Drax at least as I distinctly remember reading an Avengers comic. I'd have to go look at the number with Drax in it in first grade in the classroom. And I remember it was me and Lucius Johnson. God bless you. Where are you? He and I were reading that comic together. And that's where I saw Drax for the first time. I don't know if it was my comic or his comic because we both like comics, but I saw Drax. I was like, man, this guy is killer. And I was into him as I really liked that character from that point forward with the purple outfit, with the green skin, very kind of big collar. He could fly. He could shoot energy blasts out of his hands. He was a real threat, real tough guy. And then as I got into more comics and saw more Drax, you find out just how powerful he was. I mean, he could fly. He would fly through space with Captain Marvel. And then you find out he was created to destroy Thanos. I mean, that was his goal. That was his whole mission. I have to kill Thanos. And they do, and they do, to MCU's credit, touch on that in the movies. But he's such a pale comparison to the comic version. So go ahead. What are your thoughts? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Drax we get in, Annihilation, even back into the Infinity Watch, stuff like that. Not the most recent stuff, but is it's again anytime MCU and this is my only pretty much argument with the MCU is anything they touch a character, they try to find a comical base to the character, like Thor. Thor in the comics is not comical, but you go into um, you know Thor 3 and you're seeing way overdone comic. And same with Drax. Like Dave Batista does great.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Batista visually, I don't know if you could get any better than him.
I think that's a fair point.
I think, yeah. So Coach thinks so. Ace, do you think the same? Like,
Yeah, I mean, especially how he appeared, and we can get into that when Drax transformed for the third time into, yes, his third appearance or his form. Dave Bautista's appearance is spot on. Yeah, it looks great.
But then I reflect back to the times that Drax went against Thanos, and the old boy got his ass kicked. I mean,
yeah,
it wasn't even close.
Well, he got his ass kicked by Ronan. I mean, so in the first Guardians, he goes up against Ronan, who, yes, Ronan's powerful. Tough. Ronan is powerful, but he's not in the same league as Thanos, and yet Drax is supposed to be in the same league as Thanos to kill him.
Yeah.
And he gets his ass handed to him in Guardians 1. And so, yeah, anytime he even approaches, you're like, this dude, I mean, Thanos could just squish him like a bug. He's not going to be, he's a gnat. Hell, Spider-Man has better chance against him.
I loved what Dave Bautista said in that latest interview, that he was basically like, Drax gets his ass kicked more than anybody else in the whole MCU.
I agree. It's the one thing that I remember being irritated about. I was like, everyone likes Drax. He's likable. He's funny. But let's be real. Outside of that, his very first appearance in Guardians 1, where they meet him in the jail, and everyone's scared of Drax. Okay, so he was threatening then. After that, he became a joke and a teddy bear, and was like, basically got his ass kicked anytime he got in a fight. He was the first one to get his ass handed to him.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense for what he is as a comic. Now, at the same time, are they worried about how powerful he is, that it would take away from the whole Thanos Endgame kind of situation?
I would say that's probably true. You have to leave room for for Captain Marvel to be more powerful. The Hulk's visions, whatever, I guess. And he was depowered in the comics,
Yeah. He
did go from, a threat level 9, and then to ref, if you know about Warlock in the Infinity Watch era, then he became like a, 10 plus, and then he got way depowered to what he is, more reminiscent of how he is on the screen. So,
but they could have gone Annihilation Drax and been perfect. I mean, I felt like Drax didn't hold any water to the Novas and the Quasars and all that, but he was also, I felt, somewhat powerful enough to at least. But again, like, if you think about it, I mean, I love Star-Lord with the best of them, but he ain't even close to Drax in the comics. Like, I mean, like strength and fightability and even the fight sense of Drax. I mean, Star-Lord, Groot.
They were quite different. And let's be honest, though, they were that way. They were changed to that degree. I mean, Drax being the worst, but they were all changed to that degree because, well, hardly anyone knew them, so they felt the freedom to play with them more than Captain America or Spider-Man. So,
by the way, we have our first visitor in here, and it's Badass Pawpaw. He's saying, hey.
Badass Pawpaw, what's up, man?
I want to know what he thinks. I mean, he knows his comics. I want to know what he thinks of how the MCU did Drax. And I'm sure he's going to think the same way we do.
Yeah,
let's get dirty.
So go ahead. Keep going with what you were saying.
They did it dirty. I don't know. Look, I don't want to get all negative on the Guardians because I actually do love those movies.
Yeah.
And like Ref says, Star-Lord was changed. I do want to make one distinction, though, about Star-Lord. He's kind of a boob, but he's still competent, as opposed to the atrocities that were made with the Seth Rogen Green Hornet and the Johnny Depp cannibal guy, Lone Ranger. where the entire movie, the Lone Ranger in those movies and Green Hornet were absolute boobs and couldn't do anything. So at least, Peter Quill, Star-Lord, is a competent fighter. He's a competent warrior. He's just kind of a boob on top of it. It's like when you can't even fight, I'm like, what are you wasting my time for? That's pathetic.
Now that's a question I have for both of you. The Drax in the movie that we saw that was a little comedian and had some fun and stuff like that, was he that way in the comics?
No.
Oh,
never.
Not even close.
How much did that bother you, or did Batista being so good at what he was doing was that okay with you then?
It was a salve, I guess I don't know what you call it, but yeah, it helped because he was so endearing. You're like, damn, it's not Drax, but I kind of like the guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
go ahead. Rich.
I mean, really, in the comics, you get Rocket and Groot to be maybe the more comic relief. I mean, obviously, Rocket is still comic relief, and even through Annihilation, Peter Quill wasn't that comical. I mean,
no, you're right. He wasn't comical at all, really.
Mm-hmm. He was pretty serious.
Okay,
yeah.
You just said a name, and Paul just said Drax. Yeah, way off. But the worst one was Peter Quill. Star-Lord was very militant on his original incarnation. He was more direct and violent.
Yes,
that's true. I mean, those old 70 Marvel previews, and then in the black and white, you can get the omnibus of it. Yeah, he was. I mean, you could say he was a little generic, but definitely serious, militant. He started to get once you say, Ref, after Annihilation, and then when Abnett and Lanning did the Guardians series, he started to get a little bit of that.
He was a little bit more laid back. And
yeah.
And same with Richard Rider. I felt like Nova even developed.
Don't ever say that.
Developed some sort of
we don't disrespect Rich on this program.
Well, he at least developed some character.
Hey, Ref has all the free will to be able to say what he wants. You cannot force that he can't say something.
Not today. Not today.
He controls my comic input. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's sad but true. About Rich. Yeah, he got a little. They all got a little booby.
Yeah, I think that was the. See, I think Guardians. That was the point of Guardians, is to make a lighter movie, a lighter element to the Marvel universe, because everything else was serious. Everything else was very, they started off with, Iron Man and Captain, which was very noir, was very, historical. They wanted something that would be comical, but again, they played with the wrong characters to do so. I think you had so much comic relief with concern to Rocket and Groot. I mean, just those little elements of, I am Groot and Rocket trying to interpret that. I thought that was clever enough in itself. You didn't need a bonehead Drax to be able to follow up on that.
Here's a stupid question on somebody that hasn't read the Guardians of the Galaxy comics. But from what I understand, Groot talked way more than what he just did in the movies, correct? Is that all he ever said was, I am Groot?
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Well, okay. Yeah. Ref, you holler at me. Hell, if Badass Papa, you got any insight, let us know. But Groot was an old 50s. Back in the 50s, there weren't very many superhero comics because of the Comics Code Authority fiasco. So Stan and Jack did a lot of monster books, tons of monster books, like Umu and Groot and Zemu and just all these weird names for these creatures. And so Groot was an old monster that Abnett and Lanning took from that era and threw him into Guardians. So they were the ones. Yeah, he did talk. So you are right. In the 50s, he talked, and well, I'm a monster, Groot. You can't hurt Groot. Blah 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 blah. And then Abnett and Lanning came up with that whole "I am Groot."
Okay.
So that was some basis to that, and then and that became by far the most popular version of Groot, because before that he was just some lame Silver Age monster.
Now, see, this is why I like people in the chat, because they get a whole different view. And Pawpaw just says, and Nebula. Nebula was a pretty close, and I'm more concerned on Batista's performance. I am not a fan. I am very vocal on my thoughts about James Gunn in particular.
Yeah, James Gunn is, he's got some style. I mean, we can leave his weird ass, creepy tweets out of it. But yeah, he's one of those guys that's like, okay, I like what you're going for, but here's the thing: all the characters are going to be sacrificed to bend to his vision. And so I think he feels like, hey, I'm going to take all these B characters and bend them to how I want, which I guess you can do, but it's like, little do you realize there are some of those characters that aren't as B as you think they are.
Yeah.
Like Drax has such a long history. Nebula and Star-Lord, it's like, oh, I mean, yeah, the general populace had no idea who these characters were, but it doesn't mean they were unknown.
Right.
There was a substantial fan following for them.
And I think that's the exciting part of maybe him taking the reins of something where he can actually play around with, which is Suicide Squad. You think these wonky characters, like Polka Dot Man and roll them into something he maybe could, I don't know, make something out of them instead of Drax as being this great character, this great, when I think of Drax, I think of a guy with two, daggers in his hand and beating the living hell out of people. But I never felt like Drax brought that much to the Guardians of the Galaxy at all.
Wow.
I felt like he was there to do a want joke every 3 times a movie and high five, but it was all about Peter Quill. And even like our guest has said, like even Nebula. I mean, I'm not as attached to the Nebula character.
No, I'm not either, really.
So I probably don't get as ate up. I'm more attached to Gamora, to be honest. I think Drax and Gamora are kind of the strength. As much as I love Peter Quill again, are the strength of the Guardians.
Okay.
I mean,
Pawpaw has 2 things. He says what you said. The original Groot was a villain that was Rec 9 and not our Groot. Now, Groot is basically like the Tales from the Dark Side monster. And then he asks, now he's going to have to elaborate on this one. Quick question. Are we on code name basis or are we going by real names? And I'm guessing... does he hear us slip every once in a while on our real name?
Maybe he does. Yeah, I don't know.
That would be my only guess. That's what he's trying to say. Or do you want me to call you Pawpaw or Sam, or you tell us what you feel more comfortable with.
Whatever you want, sir.
You are our viewership, so we will do what you want.
We will cater. Hell yeah, we will cater.
You tell us what you want.
Papa, we need to know, is Gojira on tour yet? What's happening?
Oh, God. He's laughing.
I don't know what
now.
that means. Yeah.
Are we ready? Hey, go ahead.
The only thing I was going to say about Drax is, he did. I don't know if James Gunn pulled from. Ruff, do you remember when? Well, you don't remember because I'm in high school, but you read the trades. You dirty rat. When Adam Warlock started the Infinity Watch,
Mhm.
and it was Gamora, Adam Warlock, Pip the Troll, Drax. Do not forget Pip the Troll. And am I missing anyone? I think it was just the 5 of them.
Yes.
Well, anyway, Drax had been killed by his daughter Moondragon, and then he got resurrected. And in doing so, he absorbed like the Power Stone. He had the Power Stone.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so he became as big and as the Hulk. He was the Hulk, but his mind didn't regenerate. So he had the mind of a child. He was stupid, for lack of a better word.
Mhm.
And so that created some funny elements. And he was in that form way longer than I mean, he was
Mhm.
like that for years.
Was that one of the things where he ate the jelly bean that he thought was a jelly bean?
Probably,
I
yeah.
saw
I
that
mean,
on pulling that up.
yeah, it went on. As a fan of Drax, I'm like, this is going on for years, and finally you gave up. You're like, well, Drax kind of sucks now.
Mm.
And then
Mhm.
finally this is the part that I don't remember if Ref remembers, when they had a Drax miniseries right before Annihilation. It was the precursor to Annihilation, and they introduced you to the new Drax, which was him back with his intelligence,
Mhm.
and his size was more normal, but he'd lost all that power. But he was still a killer and tough, and that was a version we got on Guardians. But it's like they never realized that. Again, I'm repeating myself, but after that first introduction, it was like Drax never got a moment to shine as a complete badass. It was like, hey, look at this. Drax is a total badass, and now we're going to show you him get his butt kicked every time henceforth.
Yeah.
And now he's going to be just complete comedy relief.
And that's
And
what I
that's
was
what
going
he
to
is.
ask you. And actually, Paw just said it. How surprised were you at the Guardians of the Galaxy that we did not see somebody like Adam Warlock?
Shocked.
Well, I mean, okay, the spoiler alert. I mean, he was actually shown in his cocoon at the end of Guardians 2. So if we don't get Adam Warlock in Guardians 3, I probably will revolt. And there was, I understand why
And
they didn't do it.
Cosmo.
Yeah, I know. I understand why they couldn't introduce Adam Warlock to the Infinity Saga, because there's so many characters. I understand it, but
he's so
it,
close with
as
Thanos. I mean, so
yeah, that's the thing. As a comic fan, though, it's like, man, there is still something missing with Adam Warlock not being a part of this.
yeah.
He's so tied to Thanos. It's like, damn. Surely you guys could have made that work. I mean, somehow.
At some point. He also has an interesting comment that says, don't forget that Drax is a human.
He is correct. He is a human. And he, maybe, let me see if I remember this right. His daughter is Heather Douglas, Moondragon. And, gosh, somehow he gets killed because of Thanos in a car. And I don't know if it's Mentor or somebody resurrects his body into the killing machine that is Drax.
Now, to end this, and I want to do this with each one. What
Sure.
do you recommend people to start reading if they are a fan of Drax? What would you say this is what you need to read of Drax? I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, if you only know Drax from the Guardians movie, I would recommend getting the trade of the whatever year that is before Annihilation. Gosh, there's a trade.
I think it's tied into the Annihilation omnibus. If you
It
want
might
to
be.
pick that up,
Get that, because that shows you the Drax with the tattoos over his body and the knives, because he didn't have any of that before. Aside from that, I don't know if there's a good trade. You need to go back and look into those old Captain Marvel books. Go look up Captain Marvel from the 70s.
Not Marvel.
No, well,
Marvel.
it is, but yeah. Anything with Jim Starlin. I would probably go Jim Starlin, Drax, and see what pops up. You can get the old 70s books where he makes appearances in Captain Marvel and the Avengers, and that's going to be your best bet. You can go Warlock in the Infinity Watch, but I just don't like that version of Drax at all.
Okay,
Ref, what do you think?
Yeah, I would totally agree. I would take pre-Annihilation Drax. I mean, I think his adaptation at that time was probably the most perfect Drax for me. But again, you know, being a little bit later to the scene, that's where I probably consume Drax a little bit more, and not necessarily the old Drax, which, you know, have been morphed into what it is now.
So Paul says Infinity Gauntlet, Drax, and then he says Drax kind of sucks, but Annihilation, and then there was another, and he says he thinks it was One Shot.
There's a one shot. Maybe it was a one shot. He might be right. It felt like a 4-issue miniseries, but
that's over my head.
Regardless, if you go look into those books, though, you'll get really good versions of Drax. So
okay. Now the next one that I want to go to, and it probably pisses me off personally more than any of them, but I know you two are more upset with another one, is how they predicted in the Hulk. I did not like how the MCU did it. I liked it at the very beginning when we got the start of the Hulk. But I've never seen a guy go from where he was to where he ended up. It was just a weird way that they did it with him. And man, and you and I have a good friend that is a huge Hulk fan. I bet you he cannot stand what they did.
Actually, we should ask him. I'm curious to know what he thinks. I agree with you. You guys see what you think, but I personally still, and Coach and I were talking about this earlier, feel like the Incredible Hulk with Norton was a really strong rendition of the Hulk, and I loved his version of Banner. I'm in the minority. I still prefer Norton's version of Banner than Ruffalo, but I'm in the minority on that.
I think, though, to be fair, we got one film with Norton. We got multiple ones, and if you would have asked me at the beginning of the Avengers, I would have picked Ruffalo. But now what we got to see for all of it, I'm going now Norton.
Yeah, I feel like Ruffalo just kind of like, hey, everyone loves you so much, you can kind of do what you want with this character. Let me just say this. The first Avengers movie, Ruffalo impressed.
Yep.
I love that version of the Hulk. Phenomenal. I thought there were still some great things in Age of Ultron. You know, we still had the Savage Hulk. I thought his relationship with Natasha was weird, but other than that, still good Hulk, still really good Hulk. And then we got Ragnarok, which I still mostly enjoyed because he was still the Hulk and he got to talk more. And then he got his ass kicked in Infinity War, and then we got Endgame, and woof, yikes. As a Hulk, if you were a Hulk fan primarily, I don't know how Endgame didn't piss you off. Well, honestly.
To just say that, we have one here. Paul says Incredible Hulk, and he says in quotes, Ed Hulk was amazing. Hulk's my favorite character. And he says, I swear that Ruffalo does not like playing Hulk, and that's why he keeps spoiling the movies. So what I want to hear from him then, and anybody else that's watching this later, if you're a Hulk fan, how did you feel from the very first Avengers? And then what was your feeling at Endgame?
Well, and cut Hulk out of the equation, and I know that's hard. Let's talk about Bruce Banner. And did Ruffalo really encapsulate the Bruce Banner? I love the Hulk of, what were some of those issues that we liked, Ace? Was it, who was the writer back? Was it Burns back then? No.
You gotta give me more than that.
What was what was those couple issues where he turned into the Gray Hulk? Who was writing it then?
Peter David.
David, yes, Peter David.
Yeah, so that's where you got McFarlane on the art, and he turns gray. Oh, so good, so good.
And I think the great thing of it was, you had a Bruce Banner that you really felt. I get really hooked into the character development, and if I can feel it for even the character, because I don't think Hulk's gonna pull on your heartstrings one way or the other, but I think if you make Banner a likable person, Hulk could be this monstrous. I think that was the problem at the first couple Hulks, is that they didn't really pull on your heartstrings in the way that they should.
I think Ed Norton did, though. I think there was times that he did.
Here's what Ed Norton did, and in my opinion was, and I kind of, Coach, I made that kind of derogatory TikTok about the 70s, but really there was a lot to like about that Hulk show.
And I was going to say that. I thought the Bruce Banner in the 70s show was fantastic.
Other than that, they didn't call him Bruce Banner. He was Bruce, damn it. What was it? They called him, he had a different name. It was always so weird. Like, why did you call him Bruce Banner? It's weird.
But he was more on the run, wasn't he? Always?
He was always on the run, but that was the Hulk. So it was like Bill Bixby was a scientist on the run trying to do good. And kind of awkward. It is like, damn, he is Bruce Banner. And Edward Norton specifically went for that vibe. And I thought he captured it perfectly. Whereas Mark Ruffalo's like, I'm going to play Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, basically.
Yeah.
And it worked for the first. It worked for the first movie. And after that, it was like, okay, hey, I'm Mark Ruffalo's the Hulk still. Hey.
And then it's like, now I'm not even the Hulk anymore. I'm just...
Yeah, now I'm Professor Hulk. Whatever.
I
was going to say, the Hulk that you got last kind of reminded you of Beast. And,
Yeah, good point.
That is a good one.
That's Beast. He's playing Beast.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what he reminded me of. Like,
he's Hank McCoy.
You're intimidating as hell, but you're acting like an intellectual nut. And, so it was just, it was weird for me. Not saying that Bruce Banner is not smart, but we didn't get this, how to make Hulk, an intellect. And I don't think it's really that necessary to make a Hulk an intellect. You got plenty of those on the team.
Yeah.
With Tony Stark and all those.
Sam just says that he was extremely disappointed that they cut Hulk's fight out in Thor Ragnarok. Hoping they get back to where Hulk is Hulk, and even if he shows up with a damn burnt arm, if he shows up with a damn burnt arm next time, he's gonna riot. And he said Bill Bixby was David Banner, and that's right. That is right.
Thank you. Yep. David Banner. Yes, that was it.
I like that. I thought that was a really done well sitcom.
Yeah, I mean, my brother-in-law and I, we joke. We'll like randomly like start humming the theme at the end of the movie when you're like, "Oh, hey man, are you kind of down the dumps?" Yeah, I was like, "Well, you're not end of the Hulk episode down the dumps, are you?" No, I'm not that bad. Every episode ended with him with his thumb out, like
leaving to go to a different town.
It's bad, man. Yep. It's bad.
That is true. I do remember that. I do.
Like, oh wow, that is not a feel good show.
Now, when I was making that, when I was thinking about making a TikTok on this, the one thing that I started looking up that I sort of started understanding is I was pissed off. Like, one of the main things that pissed me off on Endgame, just like everybody else, is when he picks up the motorcycle and he's like, ugh. And it's like doing nothing what Hulk would do. And then I got to researching it a little more, and the question was, Bruce Banner, if his mind is still Bruce Banner while he's Hulk, he doesn't have the anger and the combat
He's never going to be as
situations.
strong.
Yeah.
He's not going to be as strong. You know, in the comics, though, they had a pretty long run, several years of Professor Hulk, where Doc Samson, well, who we need to do a TikTok on. Doc Samson is a freaking great character.
There you go, Ref.
Amazing character.
Good job,
Doc
Ref.
I got
Samson.
you.
Doc Samson's amazing. So he finally merged. He finally helped, because he's always trying to help Bruce, like, you know, come to terms with him being the Hulk. And he finally was able to combine the Hulk with Bruce's mind. And they stayed. So he was permanently the Hulk with Bruce's mind. And he was that way for years. And he was just as strong without having to get angry because he merged the personalities. Well, come to find out, it was another version, you know, basically Bruce has multiple personalities because he's got all these different versions of Hulk. And that was just one aspect called Professor Hulk. And so we found that out later. But in the context of that movie, what they should have done was they went for a joke. Oh, hey, look, he's making fun of him being savage. And I'm telling you what they should have done. If they would have done this at the end, even if he'd had kind of a crippled, burnt arm, he gets mad again. And you see him kind of Hulk out. Maybe he's still got Bruce's mind, but he finally hulks out at the end in that battle. If you would have added just that little scene, I think you would have satisfied a lot of Hulk fans.
Everybody
like, at least,
been.
You know, they've been like, oh, okay, man, we finally got him. He's hulking out again. Good.
Yep. I totally agree with that. Paul says, I honestly like the Hulk TV show, but at the time in the comics, it was a Mignola run? Is that right?
Mike Mignola?
Mike Michelin?
Mignola.
I don't think Mike Mignola did any.
And then he said which was highly underrated. And then Badass Paul has a TikTok on Doc Samson.
Oh, okay. I love me some Doc Samson. And who watches Modern Family? You guys watch Modern Family? Because what's his name was Leonard Sampson in Edward Norton's Hulk movie, and we're like, nah, I love that guy, but he's not Doc Samson.
Doc Samson's really cool. Yeah.
Oh man, I love Doc Samson. I got like every action
Peter
figure
David.
of him, and
yeah, Peter David did him good in that series with.
Doc Samson is so cool.
So
he's a psychiatrist,
which makes him even cooler. Do you think
pretty sucky?
Wait, listen.
Two counselors, coach. Come on, quit that. You just quit that. Do you think at the end game? Do you think that they try to make a Professor Hulk or Professor Banner, and they epically failed? Like, I don't know. I am just thinking that I would have loved to see Hulk in his prime trying to battle the hell out of Thanos.
Oh, it'd been epic.
It would have been. Now,
but we had to have Captain Marvel do it.
That's true. But didn't we have good enough representation with Scarlet Witch? And
we had a whole scene of the women in one whole scene where they all got together and made a stance.
Here's the thing. Yeah, there's so many great women characters on the team. Amazing characters. But really, let's be honest. The scene should have been Bruce kind of reverting a little bit and hulking out and having a rematch with Thanos and kind of handing him his ass.
Yeah.
Now, maybe not beating him, because ultimately I still like how it ended with Tony, but that should have been the scene instead of Captain Marvel coming in doing whatever she's doing. I mean, I'm not a Captain Marvel hater. Don't take it like that. But
you don't.
How
like
cool? Well, I don't not like her. What is it?
She's good looking.
Ben Affleck says, "I don't not like you."
Truth.
But I mean, having Bruce Hulk out and just kind of like, okay, here he goes. We're gonna have a little rematch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they did two things on Endgame, and it's sort of both the same kind of thing. they went too long with the Fat Thor. I thought it was great when we got it, and it was funny, but it went on for the whole movie almost, and I was done with it. The Professor Hulk at the beginning would have been a great thing, but then be done with it and move on. But they didn't. They just kept going.
That's one of those 2 story beats where they were trying to be unpredictable. They didn't want to be predictable, and so they said, "Hey, everyone's going to expect Thor to, when he powers up, to return to normal, and we're going to subvert those expectations." And that's what they did. And I actually understand why they did that, because you don't want to be too predictable. Unfortunately, it doesn't age well. You go to watch the movie, and you're like, that's just stupid.
Yeah.
How cool it would have been to say, like, that was all his subconscious. And when he powered up, he finally was like, I'm over it. And boom, he's back to Thor. That's how it should have been.
Okay, so Pawpaw says Mike Mignola started his run in the issue 307 back in 1980 something.
I'll read that shit. Mike Mignola is awesome.
The Mike Mignola?
You're asking somebody that would have no freaking idea.
Hell,
now, if you ask me about
That's
Ozzie Smith's stats in 1980, I could probably recite them. But if you ask me about Mike Mignola, I don't know.
Coach, he killed Hellboy, and like he could touch anything, I think, spiritual. He could touch anything in that realm and be pretty awesome with it.
Minor plug. Go check out Mike Mignola's, damn it, he's got a whole universe at Dark Horse. Anything he touches, read it. Okay. That's okay. Back to our regular
schedule programming.
Yeah.
Lobster Johnson.
Okay,
Johnson,
so in this, give me things that they should read if they're wanting to get into the Hulk.
Oh, I'll do that all day long, man. You have to you have to read anything with Peter David. Go Google Peter David and Hulk and read that. There's also an incredible short issue run of John Byrne Hulk. Get that. It's probably still one of my all-time favorite issues, where Doc Samson, Iron Man, Hercules, Thor, and Wonder Man. Not Thor. Hercules, Submariner, Iron Man, Doc Samson, and then did I say Wonder Man already? They all take on the Hulk because he's out of control. Man, that's still one of the best single issues ever, drawn by the mighty John Byrne. That's freaking great.
Really? That sounds interesting right there.
They're in collected. It's
in an Epic collection, I think.
Yeah, that's in an Epic collection, but Peter David's is in a, they're called Marvel Visionaries, and
pricey.
They are a little bit pricey, but they are very well done. So there's a issue of Hulk that I don't know who was disguised as this homely guy in the desert. You remember that, Ace? Where someone was disguised as this homely guy in the desert.
I think he's thinking of Breaking Bad right now.
Oh God, I'm thinking of methamphetamines. What am I doing with my life?
I think you on a different track. Man, I think I know. Is that a single issue you're talking about, or is it a
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. But anyway. Also, as just my personal, it's probably not the greatest storytelling, but I love Sal Buscema's art on the Hulk. Just Google some of that and these old 70s books. I still think he's one of my favorite Hulk artists. I just love that stuff with the Hulk. So
okay,
there you go, guys.
Now we go to. So, Ref better be ready for this. We're going to Hank Pym.
Hey, man, you better bring your A game. This is your boy.
This is my boy. This is probably one of my Marvel's favorite. When I was starting to get to Marvel Comics, one of the first comics that I read in Marvel other than Annihilation was was a lot of that early Avengers, but one of my favorite trades was called the Trial of Yellow Jacket, and you can buy that in Amazon. I think it's actually called that. It's a fairly affordable thing. Now, people who aren't as acquainted to comics are like, what the hell? Yellow Jacket was a bad guy, right, Coach? I mean, like,
He was not a bad guy.
Sure, he was a bad guy.
He was a bad guy.
Oh.
Well, Hank Pym was the original Ant-Man, and he was amazing. Like, one of my favorite love stories of comics, right, is Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, and like, you know, the Wasp and the Wasp and Ant-Man are like great, but one of the biggest, you know, storylines was the downfall of Hank Pym. He became Yellow Jacket, which was actually a pretty cool character, visually very cool. I think Ace even has a bust of Yellow Jacket. True story.
I do.
Very jealous of that.
I know. As well you should be.
Hey, two things before you start.
Do it.
So the Mike Mignola is the Hellboy, Mike Mignola.
Mm-hmm.
And then some stupid guy named Unfinished Business says, hey, the good-looking ref is back.
Kick him out.
I know. Can we
block him?
Hey,
block him.
We need to get some mods in here to get them out.
Ruining the show.
Okay, and also Sam now just says love story ? He beat the hell out of Janet.
Now I was getting there.
Oh, damn, sorry.
Hey, imagine being a young man at the healthy age of 2nd grade reading that story. Like,
while you're all doing this, I'm gonna go get a beer since everybody else has one. So give me a second.
I'm here.
Hey, I'm here all night. Now, hey, you know what though, Ref? Real quick though, what do you think about Hank's all his? You know, he was a guy who could never settle on an identity. You know, he goes from Ant-Man, then he switches to Giant Man. Then he switches to Goliath. And then he goes back to Yellow Jacket. And it was like and we were both too young for this because we're talking 60s and early 70s that he went through all these personas. So, but to me, I kind of thought that was cool when I found that out.
Well, I tell you, I mean, I don't know if people are connecting some sort of theme with me. As you know, I love Booster Gold, who is always trying to find his identity. Hank Pym is no different, and he is Marvel's. You know, he just wants to be accepted, and I don't feel like he felt like he ever got accepted within the Avengers community, even though he was a founding member. Even though he was a founding member of the Avengers, like
he always felt a little less than.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why his storyline has always been amazing. And you know, even him beating the hell out of Janet, which is, I am not a condoner of domestic violence. #
0 tolerance.
I hate that shit. You can put that on our video.
I ain't gonna tolerate it.
Sam just says 2nd grade. Heck, I was in 8th grade. He goes, then fuck, I'm old.
Grandpa.
Hey, we like old guys.
Yep.
We love you.
Yeah, but I tell you that I'm all about redemption, and I'm all about, you know, making mistakes and turning it around. Like, and Hank did that. You don't see that in the movies. You see one of the best actors ever in Michael Douglas. I I am not mad at them throwing Michael Douglas at one of my favorite characters.
No, that's hard to argue. Yeah, Michael Douglas is pretty great.
And the brief 15-second to 30-second scene of him being Ant-Man was muy bueno. Like, woo-wee, yay, great.
Yeah, it was
You
cool to
know,
see that.
but, we don't get a true, a true person of Hank Pym, the person who has persevered through, trying to be the best Avenger that he could be and never living up to the Tony Starks, the Steve Rogers, the, even Wanda Maximoffs of the world. And, his soon to be ex-wife was more of a Avengers leader than he ever was, which was kind of poopy.
I guess that does, as a major comic fan, we get over it because there's so many other great things on the MCU, but there is something that's still a little annoying that like Janet Van Dyne isn't the Wasp. I mean, she is such a massive Marvel character and was a leader of the Avengers for many years. For her not to be the Wasp in the MCU is a little bit frustrating. Yeah, you got a flashback of her. Yeah, she's going to be in Quantumania, but it's like her and Hank are the retired, and we've got Hope, who was created for the freaking movie. And then, hey, Scott Lang is great. Paul Rudd, amazing.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit of, and again, it's like the Guardians thing. Oh, hey, these are lesser known characters. There's not as many fans. We can play with it. Like, well, every character is someone's favorite.
Yeah. Okay. 3 questions before you go. So Sam says Hank's problem was he grew in size, but not everything grew with him. And then Unfinished Business wants to know if we're going to start reviewing Superman and Lois again.
We can.
I mean, it was a great episode.
Unfinished Business. Stay on topic.
Chill out, bro.
And Sam says that even Tony Stark was a raving alcoholic. Now,
no, I think it was good. I mean, it was good storytelling. It was just like, and real quick about Hank Pym, they did that storyline. And some of the writer, and I can't remember who wrote it. Dang it. They sort of regretted it because all of a sudden every creator afterwards wouldn't let it go. It's like, that was Hank's growth. And then for years, it's like, no one let him forget it. He wouldn't grow. It's like 20 years later, they're still throwing out that he did that. It's like, well, for 20 years, he's done a lot of heroic things and moved past that. So let it, like, somebody move past this plot point already. It's getting old.
Question on Hank Pym and Scott. My theory on why Disney did what they did, or Marvel, is because they already knew future-wise they wanted it to be a female role going in. So if they would have started with Hank Pym, it would have been very hard for them to go straight from him to a female role, correct?
And yes, and I think I can appreciate the fact that they choose. And I think that's the special thing about Scott Lang is that he redemption still lived within him very well. Like, I mean, he made plenty of screw ups.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're going to make any female. I hope not make any female Ant-Man. But yeah, I mean, bringing Cassie into
that'd be kind of silly. Yeah, you got Cassie, who's going to combine both her powers and be stature. I hope they do that. That
Cassie's awesome.
Yeah, she's a great character. Mm-hmm. No, it was cool though. As a kid, I remember I could read. I read a lot of the older issues, and it was like, oh, Hank is Yellow Jacket now, but they brought back the Ant-Man persona and gave it to Scott Lang. And I always thought that was cool. I was like, oh, hey, Hank's old costume and his old name is going to be utilized by somebody else. And then the Goliath persona passed to Bill Foster. And so you had a Goliath running around, you had Ant-Man, and then you even had Hawkeye, who became another Goliath too. But it was kind of cool to see, all his personas running around with other people, and Scott Lang was one of the best.
And we talked about this in an earlier episode, maybe a week or two ago, about Bill Foster and how they shot craps even with him. I mean, in the MCU.
What a wasted opportunity! What a freaking wasted opportunity!
I mean, if you want to see a great Bill Foster, I mean, he's not in it much, but the Civil War by Mark Millar. I mean, just his death was, whoosh, that still sends shockwaves. But again, I feel like they missed the boat with concern to.
You gone? Oh,
you gone? He's playing peekaboo.
Yeah, no, it was my charge. That's why I don't do phone.
God bless you.
This is
okay. 2 things while you're doing that, real quick. Stature. Sam says stature. I'd love to see her with Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, and then he says Hawkling and Asgardian, but that's Wicked now. Did it piss you off as a fan of Hank Pym that Yellow Jacket was the villain in the first Ant-Man?
That hurt.
You know what, though? The only thing I'll say to this is that was his persona when he kind of went cuckoo and lost it and struck Janet. So Yellow Jacket was the persona that he always kind of looked at as his breaking point, because he actually did. This is going back to the way early times when he first became Yellow Jacket. He'd had a mental breakdown, and he had a dissociative identity issue where he became this other person, Yellow Jacket, and he stormed Avengers Mansion and he kidnapped Janet, and the whole team's going after this new villain called Yellow Jacket, and they find out it's freaking Hank, and he had a mental breakdown. And so he got it together and he decided, I'm going to stay Yellow Jacket because this is more me. It's more Ant-Man. I'm overcompensating as Giant Man and Goliath. And so, but that, I think that almost is kind of cool that they took the Yellow Jacket persona that was always kind of had a cloud behind it and used that as a villain. But I don't know. It still kind of hurts.
Well, I mean, most definitely so, because really, in the comics, and Ace, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but anything we've seen Hank Pym in lately has been Dr. Hank Pym. He's just a white coat.
It's worse than that.
I mean,
he merged with Ultron and it's horrible. I don't know what's happened since. It's bad. Hank Pym is not in a good state. The last I knew.
I read one of the most recent epic Avengers, and it's Hank Pym and his little red leather jacket. He almost looks like,
don't ever make fun of that. That was West Coast Avengers.
Yeah,
that was great.
He's great, but he's not a hero.
He's Dr. Pym. That's all you need.
Okay, you got to explain this. Sam just says this, but Ultron appeared before all of that, and Ultron is the subconscious of Hank Pym.
Yeah, well, that is Hank Pym's greatest sin, is that he created Ultron. Hank Pym created Ultron.
That's where I get a little ate up, is they made
Tony.
I know
Tony
that's
Stark.
weird. Yeah, they made Tony Stark in the MCU the creator of Ultron, which was not even close to being correct. And I get where they connected things. They didn't have to bring in this what they saw as a B character and explain his connection to Ultron of and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, Hank Pym really is probably even more intelligent with concern to being a scientist than Tony Stark.
Well, his distinction is they
the
broke it down.
particles.
Yeah, the Pym particles. So microbiology, I don't know, but in that realm, he's the smartest guy in the MCU. Now, Reed Richards is the overall smartest guy.
Oh,
and then
of course.
and then robotics, mechanics, equipment. Tony Stark is unparalleled. But those three guys are like the biggest brains in all of the MCU by a mile. So I don't know. Hopefully it'd be nice to see a little more flashback, getting back to the movies, of Hank and Janet together doing something in the third Ant-Man. And by all reports, she's going to be a big part. Janet or Michelle Pfeiffer is going to have a bigger role. So I hope it's true. It's true.
Nice. All right. So again, where do they pick up the comics if they want to start learning more about Hank Pym?
I think if you really want to get a good indication of Hank Pym, and yes, you're going to see him in a domestic violence situation, but the Trial of Yellow Jacket is probably one of my favorites.
That's good.
Yeah, I think the Trial of Yellow Jacket just gives you a good indication of, oh, I did this terrible thing. How do I come back from it? And in my mind, he did. But,
yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. And look for Avengers Academy.
Yeah.
Where Hank is also really, 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 really fast. There was a little storyline where Janet died in the comics, and then Hank took over the Wasp identity. It was a male version of the Wasp, and he took on the Wasp and led a team of the Avengers for a while. So that's pretty darn good. That's when Hank had a resurgence. And then Avengers Academy, where he's Giant Man, leading a bunch of new kid Avengers. Get those books. Trial of Yellow Jacket, Avengers Academy, and then I think it's New Avengers, or darn, I can't remember. But look up Hank Pym as the Wasp, and those are good books. Real good.
Sam says Age of Ultron and Trial of Yellow Jacket.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Do it.
Next up, we are going with Hawkeye.
Oh my gosh, Hawkeye.
They have really screwed up on him, haven't they?
Well, yeah, they have. He's unrecognizable, and it pisses me off that he is totally now the MCU version of the comics. Super irritating. Don't like it. Makes me angry. But it is what it is. What they ended up doing was going with I guess it was Mark Millar's version of the Ultimate Universe version of Hawkeye.
I don't even think it was necessarily that. I mean, it was maybe a version of that, but
well, it was visually that. And then his kids, he was never married. Well, he was married in the MCU, but he didn't have kids. That was in the Ultimate verse where he was married and had kids.
I just feel I feel like we missed a whole lot, with Hawkeye's origin, him not being, trained by Trickshot and all that thing. Like, I loved his origin. I downright loved his origin.
I mean, there's rumors that that's going to be featured in the Hawkeye Disney Plus show. So we might see some of this, and maybe in that show.
They ain't going to take away from Kate Bishop.
No, he's still going to be. I agree. We might see a little bit of that. He's still not going to be the star of his own show. But let me just say, Hawkeye, in my opinion, I don't know if you have up some of the visuals, but I love that costume to this day. They say, oh, you couldn't pull it off in live action. And I say, bullshit.
I don't think they would have had to have done the very big pointy, around his eyes.
You could have made it more subtle.
Yeah, there's a couple of them, and with the toy especially, it's just more of a mask that's purple still. Why can't you do that?
I'm telling you, and maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong, but I just feel like that looks so much cooler than him in a damn t-shirt or whatever the hell he's
that
gonna
black
wear.
Outfit that he has, basically.
Yeah, they're all black with one little splice of color. I mean, in my opinion, how he looked visually in the Avengers movie was pretty lame.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't exciting. And, you missed out on a lot of banter between Clint and Steve through the years. Those guys would go at it all the time. Clint always was overcompensating because he's basically just a bow and arrow guy. But where he really started to shine was when he took over the West Coast Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And when he led that team, that's where at one point he was my favorite Marvel character by a mile. And those issues, that whole in the 80s, I was all about Hawkeye. And so it does irritate me some that he's kind of a pale comparison of that. In the MCU, you got amazing versions of Cap and Iron Man and Thor, and we've seen Spider-Man, even the Hulk. We've had some good representation, but you've never really felt like you got the real Hawkeye. So, and then he had his own 4-issue miniseries. That was right before West Coast Avengers. So he had a real resurgence in the 80s and was probably one of the bigger Marvel characters for a little while.
Are you worried about the Hawkeye coming up on Disney Plus?
Very much so.
I'm not. Well, I am worried, but I'm not, because my expectations are what it's going to be. Like he's going to be fumbling and wants to retire and is training Kate Bishop, and then he's out. And that's it. He'll go retire with his family, and that will be it for Hawkeye in the MCU.
Wow.
And I never got really excited about Kate Bishop. I mean, I think the comics, I mean, their little transition from Clint to Kate Bishop was meh altogether. And again, I think, I mean, can we all agree though that Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye was not wrong? Their representation of Clint was wrong, in the sense that they could have gone maybe more of, visually, okay, maybe a little closer to the comics. Yeah, I mean, they could have put a little purple into his outfit, or
what about cockiness?
Like
yeah, there's hardly any of that cockiness.
And man, Jeremy Renner, he has it. In every interviews that he does, he has it.
Well, I mean, go watch The Town, man. Like, that's Clint Barton. Mm-hmm. That movie with him and Ben Affleck, that's Clint Barton. Mm-hmm. So I'm telling you, they went with the ultimate version of Hawkeye, who, in the Ultimate Universe, he was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Look, Clint Barton has never been a flippin' S.H.I.E.L.D. agent in the Marvel Universe. He started out as a petty criminal who was trained in the circus and worked his way up to be this master archer and tried to redeem himself and become a hero. Mm. And that's Clint Barton. He's not some flippin' S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. I mean, he would never take orders to be an agent. So, I mean, his whole character is just wrong.
So it pissed you off in the first Thor when we first saw him then?
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, oh, damn it. At one point, I'm just excited to see Hawkeye. Like, well, it's better than nothing.
Yeah. But,
when you see all these other heroes represented to such a great degree, you're like, man, I don't know. Like and Marvel. It is sad because Jeremy Renner is... Jeremy Renner, I was super excited. I can remember when he got cast as Hawkeye, and And I was like, perfect, amazing. This is going to be awesome. And it's never quite lived up. If you were a Hawkeye fan from the books, so
Now, Sam just says comic book Hawkeye is better than TV Green Arrow.
I would agree.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
love the very first so many seasons of Green Arrow.
I do like Arrow. I mean, that was also a representation of where I preferred Green Arrow on the CW show more than I like. I like that better than the comic version of Green Arrow. Yeah, I was never really that big of a Green Arrow fan. I was much. If they said, "Hey, who do you like, Green Arrow or Hawkeye?" I'm like, Hawkeye, hands down.
Yeah.
1,000 times over. I loved Hawkeye. So, yeah, I gravitated toward. Like you. I preferred Stephen Amell's portrayal of Ollie.
So. I agree with that.
So those are definitely 4 characters that have not lived up to their potential. I don't know that they ever will. Some hope with Hulk in the She-Hulk Disney Plus show. He's gonna be in it. We'll see what. I don't know what'll happen, but we'll see how. Go ahead.
Wait, first we all got to say bye to Sam. He says he's got to get going.
Bye, Sam.
Sam, thank you, sir. God bless.
Have a good night, man.
We love the interaction, Sam.
Oh, hell yeah.
Thank you.
And if you like interacting, please subscribe to our show here.
Please subscribe.
Please, sir.
To this show.
And hit the please hit the
please, sir. Please, sir. I'm very poor and I need your help. Please subscribe.
Yeah, that's a more sober Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, there you go.
That's my blind guy from Robin Hood. Pardon me, sir. Pardon my blindness. I'm always falling.
Hey, wait. We didn't do what comics would you have them read with Hawkeye?
You have to buy the omnibuses of Avengers West Coast / West Coast Avengers. Get those issues, do it now.
And his miniseries, too.
And make sure the Hawkeye 1980 4-issue miniseries is in there. That's where he meets Mockingbird. They fall in love, get married at the end of that issue. It's amazing. And they were married for years in the comics and on the Avengers team together. Really, really good.
Okay, this is shocking. So you said Avengers West Coast Avengers Omnibus.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's only $15.
That doesn't sound right at all.
No. Aren't they huge?
Yeah, they're massive.
Oh, yeah.
That might be a trade.
Okay. I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, and look up anything West, because it started out West Coast Avengers for the first many issues, and then they changed the title to Avengers West Coast when John Byrne took over, and that's the time when John Byrne took over. That's when they introduced White Vision and that whole storyline.
Okay,
which was amazing. Like I think that team overall. I mean, I would
for
think
years.
That team. Yeah, it was amazing.
It says
volume 2.
Volume 2 is $324.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I believe it. Those omnibuses, if you don't pick them up when they're new, forget about it. Yeesh. But I think you can get the trades, like the Epic collections, for cheaper.
Okay.
So you'd have to break them up.
And that's the cool thing about Marvel is they're doing those Epic collections. They're doing those old, runs for a halfway decent price, $30-$40.
Yes, sir.
What I tell you, man, you talk about parallels, and I think that's the cool thing that's one thing that I am not so DC involved is the Oliver Queen Green Arrow I do like Canary, man. I think Canary is great, but Canary and Green Arrow and Mockingbird and Hawkeye are so similar. It's just amazing how they just copy each other to an
Oh
extent.
yeah, I mean that's all. Marvel and DC have kind of copied each
Mm.
other on a lot of different things.
yeah.
So yeah,
But that's one area. Hawkeye is front and center in my office. His gentle
Yeah.
giant.
he'll always be one of
statue.
my favorites. I just you
Yeah,
know
and
that was,
I like the purple.
I like purple. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I must be a
Maybe
fan of the Joker.
Maybe Disney thought that was too feminine, and that's why they didn't put
shouldn't.
it in there.
Bastards.
Well,
It's not
That's
really how they're
against
acting.
their grade.
you're no good, Disney. You're no good.
All right.
You.
Mess.
Hey, real quick. Today
What's
they
your
announced
Kiss
the
plug?
directors. I mean, if anyone cares, they announced directors for Batgirl movie. So the Batgirl movie is going to be on HBO Max. So it's going to be a movie for HBO Max.
Like
Might be good.
The Batgirl
Killing joke?
movie?
Batgirl.
Because it's done so well? I mean,
they'll have to do the Barbara Gordon version, and the rumor is that Michael Keaton will be in the movie as a mentor. So,
wow.
so it's like, why would you do that? Why don't you have Michael Keaton be in a Batman Beyond movie as the older Batman with Terry McGinnis? But no,
yeah.
we're gonna get flipping Batgirl, which I like Barbara Gordon quite a bit actually.
I did too. Yep.
Make a Batgirl show with her, but make Michael Keaton in Batman Beyond. Nah, I'm not gonna do that.
Can't do that. That'd be too easy.
I mean, dude, stupid. They cast Alan Scott today as well. Alan Scott, Green Lantern. The guy who's in Warhorse. Don't know. He's in Treadstone, I guess, the series that was the Bourne Identity spinoff. So, got that. So, oh yeah. There we go.
What did you all think of, real quick, what did you all think of the Riddler's design?
Well, I don't know, man. It probably fits the tone of the movie, but I'm not a fan.
What? Man, he
you
really
know.
didn't like it.
I don't care for it. I mean, I like to see a character be the flipping character. Jeez.
Yeah.
Show me a version of a guy in a suit and tie. It's the freaking Riddler. I mean, quit being scared of your effing characters, man. If you are, then don't freaking use them.
Very true.
I'm at with it.
Man, he's pissed.
Get tired of it.
Yeah, he's grouchy. Look at
I'm
Ace
getting
go.
grouchy about it. It's ridiculous. If you want a guy in freaking duct tape and glasses, well, call him something else. Ain't the damn Riddler. Freaking tired of it.
That's pretty funny.
It'll be that.
Now, the hopes are, and I believe it looks way more like a Scarecrow than a Riddler, in my opinion. It feels like that vibe to me.
Yeah, it looks like a guy in looks like he stepped off the Seven set from Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. 100%. I agree.
I mean, I am super excited about the movie, but it's just, I don't know. Let me just say this as a non-Batman fan, but as a Batman fan, I do love Batman. Don't get me wrong, but
whatever.
No, I do.
You're just
but
jealous.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice, like get a freak, like live in a. Stop making him effing so realistic, like the Nolan movies and whatever this looks to be going for. At the end of the day, he has some pretty wild villains. Let's go all in and not make it stupid like Batman and Robin, but let's not make it. Let's have a balance where you can have a Mr. Freeze and a Joker and a Riddler side by side and make it work.
Isn't it time to have just somebody also new? instead of trying to always go back to the same ones.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I mean, could you think of them just going all in on the Court of Owls? I mean,
Yeah,
I
why
mean,
not?
I really don't know why they
could.
didn't. I don't know why they didn't go for that. Like, throw something new in. That would have been the perfect introductory Batman movie for Pattinson. And then you can throw in some other ones later. But man, that's brand new. I mean, look what they did with Batman Begins. At least they went with no one had ever seen Ra's al Ghul or Scarecrow.
Yeah.
I mean, they were new.
And
for
man,
that
it
movie.
was one of the best Batmans out, I think.
It really is. Yeah, it's still Nicholson is still my favorite, but that one's way, way, way up there.
It was really good.
I mean, there's so
So-
many Batman. I mean, I love to talk about the Flash Rogues Gallery, but Batman, you can pick for a long time some of the rogues that you could insert into Batman's movies that
Yeah,
have
there's-
never they have never been addressed.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what would be a great storyline is, and I don't know how you would do it, but it's time to introduce Azrael. It's time to introduce Sean. It's time to introduce Sean Paul Valley, and show. I don't know how you do it. But it'd be so cool to see that storyline. Batman fights Bane, gets his back broke. They've already done a version of that in Dark Knight Rises, but he's out of commission. Bruce makes a really stupid decision and has Jean Paul take over the Batman identity, and Tim Drake is like, what? Okay, so now Jean Paul's Batman and becomes a psychotic Punisher style Batman, and Tim Drake's trying to take him down. And it's like and finally Bruce gets it together. But that would be an amazing storyline. And then you could have Azrael be a major character because visually the guy's super striking.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Or you could do Batman Hush very easily. I mean, Hush is a great character too.
Oh, Clayface, man. How do we not have Clayface by now?
You could almost have anything if you did that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but then how do you have Clayface with a guy in a freaking trash bag for a mask? The Riddler. Whatever, man. Come on, man. I'm Joe Biden here. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
I ain't no Joker.
I-
Come on.
How y'all like that hyperinflation? Come on now.
Oh man, don't even get me started.
Come on, man. Let's do it. So that is the news of the week. There was some DC news a little bit today, so a little bit of activity. I think we're not going to go into all the other big storylines, but I think there's going to be some news popping here.
I hope so, because holy crap, has the last week and a half been like nothing.
Until today, there was, and as you can say whether it's exciting or not, there was news today. But before today, it's been slow outside of a Venom trailer and Snake Eyes, and that Snake Eyes trailer was like 50 seconds.
It wasn't even technically a trailer.
No, it was just a teaser. So
sneak peek,
sneaking the peaks.
I am trying for the heck of it to go live on TikTok too.
Oh. Hey, who here has seen the movie John Carter? Coach, damn it.
I don't
Have
know
you not
if
seen John Carter?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's Riggins from Friday Night Lights. Come on.
Oh, okay. I think I have.
Where he goes to Mars.
Yep, I think I have.
Anyway, looks like they're trying to make a Disney Plus revamp of John Carter. And I hope they do, because that
would be perfect.
If you haven't read the books, do yourself a favor and read the books. They're from like 1912. I'm not kidding, man.
Ace is carrying around these yellow page books every once in a while, and I'm like,
You damn
what,
right.
what the hell are you doing, fella?
Hey, everything sci-fi came from John Carter. I'm serious.
I don't doubt it. I don't
I mean,
doubt it.
you would not have Star Wars or any sci-fi if it wasn't for John Carter. It's the originator of all that shit. And it's freaking great. I mean, my wife read the books and liked it. That's crazy.
She is crazy.
Anyway, I cannot recommend Edgar Rice Burroughs' books enough. The creator of Tarzan. Go read the books.
Venus and Mars.
Okay.
Who else has he created?
Well, Tarzan and yeah, Carson of Venus.
Carson of Venus. There, that's him.
The Land That Time Forgot. Yeah, it's funny how people don't know who Edgar Rice Burroughs is now. It's like, man, how do you not know that guy? But they don't. It's sad. Go read his books, man.
Anything else?
Yeah, there's a lot of things.
Keep going then.
We need to discuss the fact that we have a product placement for a moment. And that product placement is the fact that concerts are getting booked again, and it's time to get your tickets.
Okay.
Coach,
What?
cut off.
Do what?
Coach, cut off. Just turn the thing off.
Listen, man.
I just got live on TikTok. I'm not cutting it off yet.
Hey, guys.
Geriatrics
Music lovers are back. Country, rock. I don't know about rap. I'm sure there are some. Get your tickets, man. Go support live acts. Go support, these venues. They got to get back on track. So if you can afford it, go see a show. Go see a concert. They're scrambling to get dates. Everyone's booking up. So go do it.
I think
Make it
concerts and sporting events and stuff will bounce back. I think it will end up bouncing back. I don't think movie theaters are bouncing back.
I'm not sure. I don't know that they will because in order to survive, they said, hey, guys, day and date movies at home. Disney Plus Premier Access at home. Man, once you start...
Easy.
I love movies. I love going to the movies.
Yeah.
Man, once you have those brand new movies in your house, that's hard to, why am I going to drive 10 minutes to the theater when I can watch it at home?
And it's not like, I think the difference is back in the day, nobody had a big screen TV. Nobody had the sound system that you have now. The visual look of it, the high def look of it, everybody's got that now.
Yeah.
And it's not hard to get. It's not even expensive.
It's not that expensive now. So why am I going to go spend $50 for a family of 4 to go watch a movie? And that's the cheap areas like Midwest. You go out in the big cities, probably pushing 100.
Yeah.
It's like that's a lot of money to go watch a movie that I maybe could watch for free at home.
Right. And for us, you're traveling 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back. It's like usually a whole night. Like if you want to go watch the 7 o'clock show, it's the whole night. Now you can be done. You can go to the bathroom if you need to go to the bathroom. You can get a drink if you need to get a drink. Do whatever. I can be on my cell phone just texting somebody and not somebody be pissed off.
Right. And you can pause it. Hey, let's take a break.
Did he die?
I agree.
Get something to snack to eat.
Yep. Are you about to fall asleep there?
It'll be.
I'm good.
Looks like he's fading. I don't think so.
I don't think he's strong. I don't think he's ready to go. Hey, I am going to end the YouTube stream, but we are going to stay together here on TikTok.
Okay, YouTube is out. Y'all have a great night. Peace out.
Subscribe.